Hello and welcome back to Season 9 of Talent League. There is a couple of games for you tonight and we're going to be getting started just shortly. We have pretty much everyone in the lobby for our first game, and that is going to be Chillwagon versus Nerf Minor. And I'm joined tonight by the wonderful Reaperance, and we're going to get into this just shortly. So how are you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. I did get to meet you very briefly on a previous stream where sadly the game was cancelled, and it was Chillwagon that ruined the day for me. I was going to get a cast, but instead they had to forfeit against Katana. This time around, it looks like they have everyone in the lobby just about. And so we're actually going to be able to see them play against Nerf Minor. It's going to be an interesting match. I've seen both of these teams around for quite a bit in Talent League. They've been up and down. They're both in the major. I don't think that was always the case, but now it is. So very excited to see both of them play, because this is kind of a Talent League classic game, and we're going to a fairly classic map as well, Clubhouse, one of the longest standing maps I think in the current comp pool. So I think we have some expectations.
Yeah, Club's been around a bit. Everyone knows exactly how Club plays, which is why you generally see it in the best of ones. Best of ones is where you see your Oregons, your Clubhouses, your Villas, the maps that have been around for so long that people kind of know exactly what's happening, and then they just kind of leave it up to the gunfights. They don't show too much because it's just the best of one. They don't want to show all those strats, all those fancy stuff that they've been preparing. If they can get through the league stage without actually having to show too much, then they'll generally try to do that. But sometimes if they get pushed up against the wall, we'll see some exciting stuff, and I'm hoping that we can see something tonight, something different. But, you know, it depends. It really does. But like I say, it is Chillwagon versus Nerf Minor that we're starting off with, and they're all ready to go. We're getting started, and we're going to be going to Clubhouse. You know, I mean, how are you feeling about Club?
I have mixed opinions. In terms of playing, I don't play it that much. Our own team does not have any strats for it, but I think that from an observing standpoint, there's definitely worse maps. It's a map that's been around the block for a while, but it's had iterations. I think it's one of the longest standing maps, but it's always had changes. I remember the map buff when they've added construction, which was previously just outside the building, and they added another room to connect the top floor, which really changed how the map played. And then, you know, the more recent change was simply moving one of the bombs on the middle floor inward onto stage instead of in stock, which made that bomb site viable. And actually now you have a map where I think all 4 bomb sites are being played, and we've been through different metas and through different preferences and all sorts of regions where some teams like going to bar first, and some teams like going to CCTV, and some don't go to CCTV at all. And so it's a much more well-balanced map, and I've seen it swing back and forth so heavily between the metas. Sometimes you see a bunch of 6-0s on attack, and sometimes on defense. All right. Anyway, well, I think we're about to get into the map now, so we'll start and see the bans. You have any predictions for bans?
I think Nock's gonna go. She's just been banned so much, it's ridiculous. She's banned all the time, and I would be surprised if she goes early on. It's, you know, gone are the days where you would see the more strategic bans. Usually you would see a hard breach ban on Clubhouse, but those things don't happen as much. But just to say that, of course, Ace is taken off the board, which is always a nice ban, because it means that you can't. It's much more difficult to go for those bandit tricks, so you can't just pop 2 on the wall and then leave it. You're going to have to get the thermite on, and then you maybe have to time it alongside the Habana, or even bring the Mav along. It really depends how they want to play it. The KB ban, strong as well. I think the KB is one of the strongest operators in the game at the minute because of that. The DMR hits hard, everybody knows that. You've got the EMP nades to come alongside, and she's, you know, got that ability to just hunt down any roamers as well. So she affects the entire round, even without doing anything. You can just hit a button and everybody's, you know, being caught. And then Valk, I'm not surprised to see Valk. Valk's a strong operator. She's been banned away so often, and I don't think there's really much more to talk about with Valk.
Yeah, no, Valk, a fairly standard ban, becomes a little more powerful with Dokubi off the board, so it's kind of Just you take out the Doke, you kind of want to take out the Valk. It's more of the same way that the Thatcher Kai dynamic works, the same way that Flores and Azami work together. If you ban one, you kind of want to ban the other. I am surprised that your prediction didn't ring true. We do have the Lurk in play. There is a Nuke on board. So we can potentially see some gameplay either up red or maybe down secret, depending on the bomb sites. And as I say secret, we're starting with Church, it seems. Nerf Miner starting on the defense. Of course, they got to pick the side, as I think it was Chillwagon that got the last ban. Yeah, Chillwagon took out Oregon, so it was between Oregon and this. And they decided they wanted to go club. And Nerf Miner obviously starting on the defense. I think for a lot of teams, defense is going to be more of a comfort space. You can just do your setups that you've practiced over and over again, and you've got these first 45 seconds to just chill and just go into autopilot and just do your setup. While on the attack, you kind of have to drone out and see what the defenders are doing so you can adapt. It's very important that in prep phase you bring the right operators, since repick is a thing now. And so you got to get some info.
I was really mixed when they brought that originally. It was nice. I quite like the dynamic of the 6th pick when it was a thing, but when they obviously changed it, it was to speed things up so you didn't have as much downtime, and I think it works, but it's a bit crap when you're on the defense and you get stuck with you can't change anything. They drone your entire site, they know your full setup, and then they can just bring something that fits it perfectly, and that seems to be what they're going to go for because they've changed onto the Sledge and the Buck. They've brought both the soft breach operators with them, so they have plenty by way of destruction to get through that floorboard inside kitchen, which will likely be the take. And you've also got the Bayana and the Ash. No one's surprised to see them on the board for the entries. They're a mainstay. They always have been. Ayana's kind of moved up in the pecking order since the changes to Zofia a few seasons back. She's really replaced her, and then you have to have a hard breach usually on club. It's never going to go well if you don't, and that usually is Habana for this bottom site to try and get those hatches open to put the pressure down into that armory area.
All right, fast work of the first floor. I think we have a bit of a semi-direct approach to just get some vertical control directly above kitchen. Nerf Miner not really out on a heavy roam. You can see that Hapfa is, I think, a little more aggressively out on the map. But pretty much everyone else is still downstairs. And so they're getting information on the first floor. They're just completely ignoring the second floor on Chillwagon side. Brought a bit of redundancy, so there's not just the Hibana, but also a few hard breach gadgets on Buck. Other than that, not really much, since all you need to deal with is hatches. Opening pick goes to JSR. He gets the first kill onto the Yana, and it gets even worse as Hapfbell. He's out on a roam inside a stock and gets another. Here comes a refrag from Dex here, and it's a 4v3, but it's still man advantage for Nerf Miner, and so they have a good start in this round, half the round to go. And they're in a pretty good position right now to just hold.
Yeah, decent roam game coming out in that middle area, just playing around lounge and stock and just being a bit of a plague before they can get the vertical done. They were able to kill quite a few players, but another kill was able to come through from Matto, this time onto Dexter inside the lounge, and retreats back to site to get himself into a more comfortable position as the time now starts to tick down towards that last minute. And got quite a lot of openings inside blue. Just make sure that they have enough room to move around, and those rotates are there, feet holes as well, so that they can see anyone it does. So it does push in towards that area. You do have the Sledge upstairs still getting this work done inside the kitchen to try and open up as many angles as possible, but you've lost the Buck at the same time, so that it's a little bit more difficult to do that. There is a Cav on the board, which we didn't quite talk about. It's got onto the board, and it doesn't happen often in the comp scene, but there it is on the board. Does have the shotgun, and is trying to put the pressure up back through these gaps in the floorboard, but can't quite land the final shot. It does get a down onto Jagsy now, and it's a 1 versus 3 situation, and through the hatch we go. Shot from the Cav, Richard finds it, and that's the first round on the board for the defense.
You're right, it completely slipped by me. A Cav. It's quite interesting to see that the Cav was used as an anchor. That's not something that you see every day.
Yeah.
But just playing the shotgun from vertical is something that can work out in your favor. So you've just positioned the Cav down below. Obviously close range, you have both the shotgun, which does a lot of damage, and the pistol in close range. That pistol is, I think, one of the highest damage secondaries in the game, single shot, other than maybe the super shorty on close range. And so it is a good solution if you're playing vertical with a low ceiling, such as Clubhouse. And so they decided to play the Cav instead of a roam on the side. I'm not sure what the decision making is there, but it ultimately works out for them. As the Cav finds 2 beautiful kills onto the kitchen players and shuts Chillwagon down.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
There's no way you're going to get an interrogation like that, so obviously not bringing the Cav for her actual ability. and not silent step either, because that you would use that to roam usually.
Yeah.
I'm very curious. I think you could have used a different shotgun operator with more utility, like a smoke maybe.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it works, it works. I'm not gonna question it.
Yeah, I mean, we need to speak about the actual combination that we're seeing. We've seen an Ela, Alibi, Solus, and a Cav. Those operators, maybe on their own, aren't too surprising, but to see them all together in the one lineup, it's a bit of a strange one, especially for a gym and bedroom hold. When you have the Mira up, you have Smoke up, fine. You know, you have all these operators that are mainstays for Club, and this is what I was talking about earlier. That Club is a map that everybody knows. Everybody knows the standard setups. You know, you almost do them and do the motions in your sleep when it comes to attacking and defending Club. So I was hoping we'd see something maybe a wee bit different, just to try and spice it up a lot, and it looks as though we're getting that. We're getting the Cav picks, we're getting the Ela plays, and we're going to start us off on this attack towards this east side, try and get that main wall open in towards CCTV so that we can start the pressure and the clear across towards that gym and bedroom area.
Yeah, certainly what I can see from Nerf Miner is just a tendency toward comfort picks. They're just picking whatever operators they feel they feel like they can do the most with individually. So it's not about any team game or strategy for the mid round. It's more of a how can we find individual picks? What guns do we like? And something that is of note here is that recently, with the big buff that has been done to the compensator, I think that the Scorpion for Ela has become viable again. Because the compensator previously wasn't useful enough to dampen the recoil that was so heavily side to side with the Scorpion, but the new, I think it's 35 instead of 15% now, really makes the Scorpion usable, because the recoil mostly drags up now, and for anybody that's been playing the game for long enough, on PC it's pretty easy to control recoil that just goes straight up. And so the compensator buff has been a huge buff to a bunch of weapons that work similarly to the way the Scorpion works, and the Scorpion is the prime example. As I say that, 2 opening picks for Chillwagon, and a third with a nade. Finally a refrag from the Ela, and Hapspel gets another kill as well. We've got Sledge inside the building already. There's a plant going down. There was no wall denial, so they've opened up the walls quickly, going for a plant already, and suddenly it's Ela in a 1v3. She's down below. Plant is down. She has to retake up the main staircase, already low on HP. Found one, and has to find another 3 to close out this round. Won't be able to do it as TWR gets the last kill. Okay, that was a fast one. I was still talking about the Scorpion.
Yeah, it was a pretty quick one, pretty quick execute. It kind of came into what we mentioned. It was purely because they didn't have the operators. They just didn't have the operators for that. That was simply it. There wasn't wall denial. There wasn't anything to put resistance onto the main breach. Usually you have maybe a smoke plane inside of the bathroom just to deny anyone pushing in. Even maybe castle on the board just so that you can make it a bit more comfy to rotate round towards that 90 area and then next to the main breach towards gym. Just didn't have it. They didn't have the operators for it, and they were punished for it. And the thing is, what I was going to say is, I was hoping that wouldn't, stop them from taking these operators, and it hasn't. They still want to go for the Cav. They still want to go for the Alibi and the Ela. The only 2 people that are changing their operators is Hatfell and Matto, who've been either on Jaeger and now Maestro, and then you got Hatfell on the Echo. So very unorthodox picks, and I'm hoping that it works out for Nerf Miner because it's exciting. It's something fun. It's something keeps us on our toes, and hopefully we can see a good game coming out of it.
Yeah, I'm noticing a trend between Hafpel and Matto. I think both of them are just picking very necessary operators for the specific bomb sites, especially on bar. A lot of plant denial is necessary, and so bringing both Maestro and Echo. Since Dokubi's been banned, it's not a ban that came out from Nerf Miner, but they're still using it to their advantage. Since those cams can't be hacked, there's no way that you're going to get access to the Maestro cam or the Echo one. So all you could use is technically the Brava, but it's not being brought by Chillwagon. So they're home free to use this as plant denial for as long as they want, as long as it's still alive. And Chillwagon will need to clear it if they ever want to go for a plant. Plus also getting vertical control. And the remaining 3 players on Nerf Miner just seem to be, as I have mentioned, just comfort picks. Just what can you shoot with?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it looks like. To me, if it was a different map, I would say that it would be down to the fact that they haven't prepped it, but it's Club. This is the thing. If it was Border, if it was maybe one that hadn't been in the pool as long, maybe Sky or something like that, I would think, okay, maybe, yeah, that's fine. You could pick an operator that, you're just as a comfort pick because you maybe don't have strats prepared for it. But it's Clubhouse. It's one of those ones that just should be in almost every team's map pool to have the standard, at least the standards. Whether they have them or not, and they just want to just go out the box, we don't know. Never know. So I'm hoping though that we at least get some sort of excitement from it, because I'm hoping the Richard can get an interrogation. I want to see one come out of it, and they're up on the top floor, moving around inside the construction and bedroom to try and be a bit of a plague when the site is downstairs, of course, inside a bar. Opening pick does come through as Dexter to find Sale, and now things start to unravel inside this strip club area.
All right, strong opening pick. Half the round is gone off the board. Decent control gain from Chillwagon. They're taking it slow. They have access to only 3 more drones, and Richard does get an injury, but it's outside the building. Unlikely he's going to go for an interrogation. He also doesn't have any claymores. I was going to mention that he does have the proxies, which I respect. Ooh, another one. No, he does finish it off. Okay, he doesn't go for it. In the meantime, Dexter has dropped off, and there's another player on the floor, so it's effectively a 4v3. So Nerf Miner have kind of gained the advantage unless Dexter can be recovered. 1 minute still left to go, and Richard is all over the map. He's getting around, and he's found 2 injures already. Really big for him, but not the right opportunity yet to go for an interrogation.
Yeah, not quite, and it's a bit of a puzzling one. Why didn't at least try and finish Dexter there? He could have went to the CC window and maybe just tried to finish him away. Just decided to leave it instead. Now 3 versus 4 as Richard is the one to fall. Does fall to the thermite, and now things are in favour of the attackers of Chillwagon, and still having to get the drones in though. They don't have a position on the bomb site as of yet. Matto holding a nice angle up through the hatch from below, which is a good thing to be doing. The angle's nice. He does find 1 kill off of it. However, it is Maestro that he's playing, so he's going to have to hightail all the way up that staircase, and he will be heard because it's quite a chunky operator. GSR finds another one to Dexter this time and does finally finish him off inside the round, and now it's a 2 versus 3 scenario, and GSR moving in towards kitchen to try and find anyone that is around that stage area, but there's no one there. Does find the bomb chassis though. Malsign's able to find Matto. It's a 2 versus 1 now, and a quick 2 kills come from Malsign, and now Hatfell in that 1 versus 2. Does have the echo drones available, but not able to utilise them enough to get the denial on that bomb chassis, and now Malsign's able to drop through the hatch and doesn't quite realise that there's a player holding him from inside the strip, and finds that final kill from the sledge, and the attackers take the round.
That was a massive round from Malsin. It was a 2v3. It was dire. There was only a few seconds left on the board. Maestro finds a pick. There's still the Maestro and the Echo alive, the 2 most crucial operators that you need in this late round. And you can see the Nuck desperately trying to plant in that hidden corner right next to the staircase down on Billiard. And she does get interrupted, I think once, maybe twice, from the yokai that was still in play. So the Echo last alive is trying to deny the plant multiple times. And in the meantime, Malson is able to find 2 picks and then also pulls out the pistol and finds the yokai. And the plant goes down. And then from that point forward, they can just play the post line. And he's able to find the player on the hatch drop. That's incredible play from him because he just puts the round on his back. He's able to get the plant through. He's able to protect his teammate to get that plant down, to let him hold F for those 7 crucial seconds. And even with the time being so low, I think he kept his composure, and that's ultimately what wins Chillwagon that round.
Yeah, and I think maybe it comes down to a couple of early kind of missed opportunities there. Richard had an opportunity to finish off 2 kills and didn't quite take them. Dexter was then able to come into and help get the control inside of the bar area. So it's one of those ones where it didn't quite work out the early game, and then obviously you're punished in the late game when you are able to. Someone was able to get the frag eventually onto Dexter, but it was just too late at that point. And then a great play, like you mentioned, that from the sledge to finish it off in the round. Still sticking the cav though. Still want to bring it out. The Ella's got through again as well with GSR, and Sale though is eventually going to give up on the alibi and bring along the warden. So they've at least got a thought to wind to at least counter maybe some of the flashes and that, but there's only a couple of flashes on side. The only is the flashes in the hands of Dexter, but there is some smokes on the Twitch, and surprised to see Twitch make it through, especially with her change to the F2. Not many people are choosing the Twitch anymore. There's maybe, that Brava kind of play was kind of a bit forced from Ubisoft a little bit, so I think that's what the better pick is at the minute, just because she's in a better place, but opting to go for the Twitch at the moment, and we'll see how it plays out for them in this round.
Yeah, as you've mentioned, the F2 nerf hitting the Twitch very hard, despite her getting another drone, because she does have 4 total now with the 2 shock drones that she has available to her as well. But with the F2 nerf, people really don't like picking her anymore because the F2 was a beast, but without any vertical grip, it's quite hard to control it, even with the new compensator in the new patch here in this new season. But there's still the DMR, and the DMR hits like a truck as long as you can hit your shots. You can still win gunfights even if you're going for body shots with a DMR. So you can see it being brought out here, and arguably I think Brava and Twitch, it's really active utility. It depends on how you use it with who can have more impact in the round. I think that they're both fairly equal. It's just, It's kind of a risky play
Yeah.
because those drones could both be useless. They might just be shot out right away.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. It's one of those ones where you need to be clinical with it, and because they just take one bullet to get dealt with, then it can be a risk to take them. We do see the first pick coming through. It is Jagsy to fall to the C4 from below. Mattles is going to find another one to TWR, and that's the butt gun off of the round. And all of the hopes and dreams of any vertical play does go with that, because now there's another pick to come through. Sale finds Jedi, and is it Jedi? Yes, Jedi. And still Richard, though, looking for interrogation, maybe inside a bar, is able to get the down, eventually gets the finish, but at the same time there's a pick at the same time, and that is the round for the defenders of Nerf Minor, who are able to collect another defense on Clubhouse.
This really fell apart for Chillwagon in the mid round here, just losing a bunch of players to that play inside of Kitchen. And right now we're getting toyed with the Cav. There's been 3 injures. One of them has been picked up, one of them was finished off, and right here, the round ended before we could see the interrogation come through on a flawless. So we're getting closer, but this time around, it's not even going to be a Cav on the board. So we were so close.
Yeah.
And instead, this time, it's Richard has switched to the castle since it's Jim. And for Jim, you do need a lot of operators to make that site work. It's a good site if you have the correct operators for it. But I don't think that there's space for a Cav on a bomb site like this. And so Richard, I think for the first time here, choosing to not go with the Cav. And we still won't see an interrogation.
Yeah, I mean, it's been on every single round so far. I think at this point they're going to be expecting the Cav, and maybe that's just to catch them out. Or it's just because they had such a poor performance on the gym and bedroom site that they've maybe heard us through the ether talking about it, and they're going to bring along that Mira, bring along that castle, and bring along the bandit as well. The only operator that's just kind of really stayed the same is the alibi, who Sale is bringing along. JSR's on the Jaeger this time, and Matto and Hatfield are having a bit of a time of it because they have not been able to play the same operator twice. They've just been tossed around so many times on different operators, and they're getting a chance on everything tonight. So we'll see if they can find the groove on one of them. They're not doing too badly at this moment in time, but yeah, extension so far out towards that CC side, and the castles will come and clutch on these windows just to make sure no one can get any pop shots through and opening up anything in this round early on.
It's incredible how much they've been flexing around. Maddo and Hefpel just trying to play every operator challenge.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, on Chillwagon, I think we've seen a lot of fairly similar setups. Just, you bring a lot of soft breach, you bring a lot of hard breach. It's Clubhouse, there's a lot that you have to deal with. There's a lot that you have to run through and go through, and so you need to get walls open, you need to deal with utility. And especially with Nerf Minor now playing into the operators that have a bunch of util, especially operators like Castle and the Mira, there's a lot that you need to go through. And so Chillwagon just bringing, I think, one of the most standard setups here. 2 hard breachers, 3 soft breachers, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's a standard Clubhouse composition. That's exactly what we usually see. No one's surprised at that. That's what I was kind of surprised with the first couple of rounds. We didn't quite get that. This is, if I was to write a setup on my, like, just off the bat, have a guess what 5 operators are going to come on Club. There will be the 5 operators at the minute. The double up on the hard breach, and then the double up on the soft destruction as well. I'm not surprised to see it. Although they're having a little bit of a difficulty getting in towards this main breach. They have opened it up because it was half soft, half reinforced. So they have had that opportunity. They got it opened early, but they're just a little bit tentative. They don't quite want to push up onto the Mira because, of course, it's terrifying. It's a Mira window. They know that it's a one-way window. They know that they're staring right at you. You know that they can just swing at any time. You don't know when it's going to happen. Malzai knows coming from below, just sneaking up that staircase, the main area, just to try and come in from behind, and no one's heard the barbed wire. This is going to be massive on the round, but the pre-fire comes through, so maybe he does know, but there's still not at least a call come through to try and push them out from top of the main stairs. 2 kills at the same time. Jedi's able to find Richard, as Richard finds one as well. Now in towards the bathroom, though. The Mira's dead to Right's 3 versus 4 situation. He's managed to sneak all the way into sight. 3 versus 0 gets down. Jagsy also down, and now Dexter has it all to do. It's a 1 versus 1 technically, though, but does he know? Does he have the information as to where GSR is playing? Dexter's inside of logistics, and now they have to go back and forward to try and find each other with this very much a cat and mouse play. 30 seconds on the board here, and gets to finish onto Malzai now, and just holding inside the bathroom, going to play time a little bit. Patience comes through. Jackson knows he's in there, goes in for the swing though, but can't come out on top as JSR's able to get the shot. They were revived, but Dexter there is on the refrag. Perfectly done, beautifully done off of the attackers. They're able to collect the downed player, get them up, and just use them as a dummy. A shield. You go in first, you're going to die. You know what? Who cares? I'm going to refrag you. Perfect. Well done. The attackers are able to take another round on gym and bedroom.
What a tight round between those two. That came down to the wire. It was briefly a 1v1. two players on the floor. It had gone back and forth. Chillwagon took a good, I think, somewhat execute. I think Malson got himself into a good position to just go up that main staircase, get in, find that mirror. I also think he did open up the mirror window from a vertical angle that he established a little earlier. I did hear a mirror pop. So he did get rid of that, then got himself up the staircase and took out the mirror, which opened up, his team to go for an execute. He found himself in the middle of bedroom and was ultimately injured. But those two injures kept it very close for Nerf Miner. It was certainly down to JSR. He could have won that.
Yeah,
but
it was so close.
Just,
it was so
you have
close.
two players on the floor. One of them gets recovered, the other one gets shot out, and so JSR just had to decide which one he wants to go for. And I don't know how much information was there for both of those injured players. But ultimately, I mean, getting the recover and then playing the 2v1 by just going for refrag, just sending that man to die into the showers and having the refrag right there. That was played perfectly from Chillwagon. I think the only reason it was close is because maybe a few bullets landed unexpectedly for Chillwagon, and they had to go and quickly recover the round, but they still keep it. And so they've got a 3-2. They can maybe get a 4-2 half. Nerf Miner are looking at equalizing to get a 3-3. Hard to judge how that plays out on this map. We'll have to wait and see for the second half how that affects anything.
Yep, and Matto's getting a little juggle operator now. He's going to Azami this time. Of course, he's going to go to a different operator for pretty much every single round. It's ridiculous at this point. Hatfield is on an Echo as well. So at least we're seeing some consistency somewhere. The Cav has now made a reappearance. So Richard Opton, you know what? I was having a better time on the Cav. We're going to go back to the Cav and try and do it again. JSR as well is also going to go back onto the Ella. And we're going to try again with these 2-3 speed ops and try and move around the map and see if we can cause a nuisance. No, Matto is able to get the first pick onto Jedi and finds that one for us. And that's Ayana to fall. Both nades gone, and it is a barren stage site that they've decided to go to. And I'm quite surprised at the consistency and how often they want to go to these middle, at least this side of the map, the west side. They don't want to even entertain the CC side. They don't really mind that. They want to try and stay towards this bar and gym and bedroom. That's where they've generally kind of stayed for this first half at least. And some players just like to do that. They just have an opportunity. Maybe they've got it prepped, and I don't know how much this prep, because of course we're seeing the Cav plays, we're seeing Solus plays, we're seeing something that's a little bit irregular for this map anyway. Dexter's able to find another one onto Hatfell, and it evens the odds. It's 4 versus 4 now, and Matto is down, but not out of the situation just yet, as Jags is able to finish off that kill with the Zofia, and 3 versus 4 scenario now plays out with 1 minute and 20 seconds left on the clock. Dexter's able to find another one, this time on its sail, but Richard's rotated upstairs and towards Jim, could go for the flank, knows that there's a rotate in that wall, and knows that there could be one in the next room. Just through that wall is Jedi, who's lurking just inside of Master, but the rotate does come through from Richard round towards that 90 and towards off the top main staircase, but Dexter's still not aware of the fact that there is a Cav lurking upstairs. Gets the down, can't quite get the kill, but though gets another down, 2 downs onto the round, and now it's looking like it could be coming back. Now 1 versus 2 situation, though, as Malsine's able to find GSR at the same time, and now we're going to see an interrogation. Finally, Reaper, it happened. 1 versus 2, gets the info, can't quite land the shot, so it's just too much to do, too late, and the final shot goes to the attackers as they take the round, and Chillwagon lead 4-2 on the first half.
Oh, we saw it finally come out, but it was a little too late, as ultimately he was in a 1v3. Really good attempt. That interrogation really could have swung it around, because I think he can play around vertical and try and find these picks through the wall, since he does have wall hacks for a few seconds thanks to that interrogation. But dropping the hatch, losing the gunfight, very unfortunate. We did finally get to see it. Sadly, no impact, and so Chillwagon, they take the 4-2. I think a well-needed scoreline for them to move into the second half. That's going to give them a little bit of comfort. It's been a little scrappy here and there, but ultimately I've been, satisfied with the way that Chillwagon have executed their rounds. I think the executes aren't perfect. They're a little sloppy. They're losing a gunfight here or there to Nerf Miner. They're out of position here or there, but I think so far they're fairly coordinated. They go together. They go from different directions. It's a multi-pronged attack, and so most of the time they're able to just crush Nerf Miner inside of the site, and it's ultimately down to like one player that goes for a retake, and usually that hasn't been working out for Nerf Miner, except for a round or two where they found early picks and have been able to just dictate the pace of the round. And I think this is what has been lacking for Nerf Miner. They have had a lack of control over the game. They don't really dictate when they get to do anything. It's down to reacting to Chillwagon, and playing reactive is going to lose you rounds ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, the reason that they've lost the last 2 rounds was because the attackers of Chillwagon had the info. Both times, they had the information of where they were. And look at this, we're going to go for a wall bang because of one bullet
Oh,
through the wall. It does land onto the thermite, but can't quite get the kill just yet, but eventually does
oh no
get
way.
it. Is not refragged somehow, is able to escape and gets the hard breach of all the operators to go. That is that wall will remain closed for the entire round. There's no more hard breach. There is a Thatcher, and they're sending out the Thatcher nades. I don't think they've quite processed that they've actually lost their hard breach.
Oh, it's a double hatch drop as well.
JSR's dropped the hatch at the same time, bringing the aggression through towards the logistics office into top main. But who's inside the rotate? It's TWR to find the shot with the SMG-11 inside of bedroom, and they're just going to try and stomp out this attack as it comes in with the aggression, pushing towards top main. Now Jerry's able to find Hatfell, and still coming through office is another one. It's the Lion of Sail trying to find the player at the top of the main stairs, and another one for Jedi is able to find the kill inside of office, and now it's a 1 versus 5 scenario. But look at the HP for the defenders. If there's a couple of good shots connected, this could swing back in to a one or two situation, but it depends. Richard is able to find Dexter inside the CC, knew the jump out would come, but the wall is soft, is able to go through that breach in towards Jim, finds one, can't find the second though, the flick just doesn't quite land. Malsine's able to find the shot, did have a C4 left, but is able to get the Vector into the body of the sledge and finishes off that round for the defenders of Chillwagon.
Alright, Chillwagon continuing their roll, now up 5-2, they're getting further and further away from Nerf Miner, and this is going to be hard for Nerf Miner to reel in. Now they've got the pressure on, they're on the attacking side, and they've lost a round pretty much right out the gate to losing their hard breach. There was some other factors as well, but I want to commend that play from Jaxi. I really like what he went for, but the blunder of accidentally pulling out the pistol instead of the shotgun to try and shoot through the wall was very hard to watch. It was very hard to watch. But ultimately, he does get the kill. It somehow doesn't go refragged. He is put down to 1 HP. But even if he would have gone down in that 4v4, he finds the hard breach. He's playing the pulse. That is a pick that is absolutely worth it. That is a pick that you take every single day of the week. And so I think that's exactly what he was going for. He's trying to find an early aggressive pick through that softball into a guy trying to rappel up, and that's why a lot of players don't rappel there. Instead, you go for a rappel over on the other half of the roof. You rappel up over on, I think it's directly above lockers instead, so that you don't die to that softball, because that softball is a threat. And right here you can see that Nerf Miner didn't respect it, and they pay the price for it. Despite Jaxi being a little rough around the edges, it still works out for them. At the same time, that double hatch drop for Nerf Miner also not working out. It's just things not falling in place for them.
It was close, and we've seen this on the attack the other side, and it was almost like they had the opportunity to go further into sight. And it's one of those ones where once you get too far into sight, because they dropped the hatch and then they pushed in, and then as soon as you get like a little bit control, you kind of think, oh great, I can keep pushing, and then you make the mistake of getting a little bit complacent because you don't know, there's too many angles, you don't really know where people are playing, because you're like, wow, wait a minute, I've not been pressured yet, no one's attacked me inside the office, what's going on here? It's a little bit strange, but we're going to see a rush coming through for Nerf Miner. Jaxie's fallen, it's the Sola's gone first, and it's a 5 versus 4 scenario, and it looked like it was going to get a rush, but they just slowed it down a little bit as they pushed down dirt. 2 players heading down there is the Flores and the Sledge to go together to try and put the pressure in the player that is down dirt. That is the Smoke, who will slow this and just stomp it out and make sure that they can't push down in towards his site as of yet.
Alright, Richard on a roll. He's been finding a lot of frags here. He's having a good day. An absolute field day, I think. Despite the bad performance from his team, he's been able to put up numbers fairly consistently. And he's been kind of the one that's been engaging some of the rounds that have really turned out in the favor of Nerf Miner. So he finds the opening pick on top floor, and at the same time, as you talked about, Mado, JSR getting into dirt quickly, trying to, I think, get rid of a lot of utility and trying to get rid of these players. And there we go. They find 2 players inside of dirt. They get rid of the smoke. They were trying to burn through smoke canisters, find the player instead. Also, the Warden stacked up behind him, dead as well. Down for the count, and so 4v2, 3v2 now as Malson, he finds a player inside of dirt. A good shot coming through, a beautiful headshot inside of dirt. Now Mado still behind that, but now he's locked out. Sail finds another. And so it's only down to Dex here now. He's locked off Mado, but ultimately he doesn't really have a whole lot of control. Richard is inside of blue already. 1 minute still left to play with, so Nerf Miner have plenty of time to just regroup, to drone out, and to find this last player, and to go for that last frag. But no, Dexter finds one. It goes completely unanswered. There's still the player around blue side, and Dexter's just holding an angle. The flash is coming in, Ying trying to go for a hatch job. They might go for a plant play here. Difficult to tell, though. They have recovered the diffuser now from the player that's gone down. But no, Dexter's in position. He finds the planter and gets away again. Suddenly it's a 1v1. It's only down to Richard. He's found 9 frags, but he has to get a 10th in order to keep his team away from match point, to stave off that match point. He's going to try and stick the plant. The Zami's too far away, Dexter. They both have the same scoreline, 9 and 5. And now it's a post plant. Dexter, he's found 2. Can he find the 3rd to lock off this clutch? There's a fight, and Richard wins it. And that's Richard. Again, he's keeping his team in this. He's winning them crucial gunfights and crucial rounds. And so Nerf Miner, not quite facing match point yet. Instead, 3 and 5.
Beautifully done there. Beautifully played from Richard, because it looked like Dexter was on an absolute heater. He was just hunting down people. He was in the right position every single time, and then just at the final bit, just caught out of position ever so slightly. He let the plant go down, which I'm quite surprised at. I think he was just a little bit too far away. I think he was maybe expecting the reposition from Richard, and because Richard was like, you know what, I'll just plant pretty much where I am. Why not? You know, I don't need to move. You know, what is he going to come and repick me again from the same angle? Doubt it. So I'm just going to plant here, because it looked as though Dexter was just over towards the church side, and I think he was expecting the rotate to a deeper armory, and it was almost like they were trying to play off of each other, and they were expecting like a ring of roses type scenario, round and round we go, but it didn't really happen. Both of them just kind of stuck, stayed in the position, waited for it, and then the plant went down, and then obviously Dexter has to react to that, and just comes out, comes up short. He's rotate through in towards armor. He was nicely done, but he just didn't quite spot that the angle was tight enough to cover how deep Richard had it from inside of Arsenal. It was all the way from box 1 all the way straight through to the deep end of Arsenal, and it was just a glimpse that he seen. And I think if he just swung a little bit wider, or maybe done it a little bit quicker, he maybe would have got away with that. And because Richard was actually waiting for the hallway push, not quite coming from armor, he might have got the flank, but unfortunately happens. These 1v1 situations, you can only, it's 50-50 when you choose something, it's just the way it works. And Richard comes out on top, 3 versus 5, and things are looking good for Nerf Miner to get in position to at least start coming back a little bit.
This might be the round that they needed to get some momentum going behind them. Richard, he's 10 and 5. He's been playing the Cav a lot on the defense, and this time around on the attack, he has locked in the blitz. We are seeing a blitz and a fuse in play. So some interesting operators still being brought out from Nerf Miner. They really like bringing a wide operator variety, and you can really see it reflected with especially Halfspell and Matto. They've been playing operators all over the place on defense, and Halfspell continuing to do it here on the attack as well.
Yeah, the fuse in hand this time, so we're seeing something pretty spicy picks. It's been exciting. I like this one from Nerf Miner. They did this last week as well, and I'm quite glad that Nerf Miner aren't doing it just because they, it's like a troll type scenario where they're winning. Because last week when I was casting over them, they were doing that. They were winning quite well, and they were picking these operators. And I thought, maybe it's a bit disrespectful. But for them to continue doing it now, it seems as though they just want to play outside the box. They want to try and bring something different. They want to try and, spice it up a little bit. And that does tend to catch people out sometimes if they're not prepared for it. We've seen how well the Cav did on the defense. No one was really expecting it. The first pick does go towards the Ash of JSR, who finds Jedi, and now things start to get cooking inside this bottom floor site as we have that angle being held by Sail, waiting for anyone to come up from behind that main stairs area. JSR inside the kitchen, getting the work done to get rid of the fatality, make sure that the hatch is open and they can get themselves in a good position to get this execute done. Because there's a minute on the clock, someone hits a Capcan, it's Jagsy to fall, JSR to fall to Jagsy, and now it's a 4 versus 4 scenario.
No, you can't do that. Is the Capcan trap on this map. It is the one on bar. That bar single door, it works every single time. You have to check that single doorway. There's always going to be Capcan traps there because it's the one that it works most often. A 3v2 for Nerf Miner. There's some kills going back and forth. Halfspell finding one on the hatch. Dexter's still playing around third box, but he gets caught out by Matto, and the blitz is inside the building. Richard, he's entered the site. Halfspell is injured though, and so it's effectively a 2v1. So Richard, he can take point, he can push up, and he can use Matto to just play around. But instead, no, Matto's rotating around. They're going to go for the pickup so that they can play the 3v1. They have the time for it. And so Richard is just playing solo against this Malusi. He's choosing not to push up. He's playing it very passively, just making sure his team can get the job done. And so he's just very passively. There we go. Another flash coming through. This Malusi's just getting bullied. And there comes the melee Richard. Another final kill for another round that Nerf Miner now desperately needs. Still away from match point. It can still be closed out in regulation. I'm impressed with how many operators they play, honestly.
The question is, to me, right? Is it part of the strats, or are they just a flexible team? Or is there dissension in the ranks and they're just like, you know what, I'm going to play whoever I want and if it works. I don't know. We don't know what the comms is. They seem to be getting the rounds up, so I'm hoping that it's just a case of, but yeah, we fancy just bringing whoever we like. Yeah, it is what it is. And, we'll play whatever guns we fancy and see if it works. And if it works, it works. They've got 4 rounds on Chillwagon. They had they had a decent defense, and there's continuing that trend at least going into the attack, and they're putting them up because there was quite a few close rounds on the defense side. So it's it could very much be a lead for Nerf Minor if in a different universe, and I don't think it'll be too scary for them at the moment because they're not onto that match point yet, and that's the key thing. As soon as someone gets onto the match point, that's where it's like, right, okay, we need to get 1 round, we need to get it, and that's when you start to force things and start to play a little bit uneasy, and that's where you can eventually end up dropping that final round because you play a little bit different from what you maybe would. Because they're not in that situation just yet, they're still coming back, they've still got that round buffer before it does go into match point, they're at least comfortable and still going for these kind of outward picks. Bringing the Flores, the Lion, and now we're going for the double hard breach as well with the Ayana. But we're going to see a pulse. We've seen the last time we've seen a pulse, they were able to get the hard breach, but they've got 2 hard breach this time. So if that does happen, then hopefully they're able to come out on top.
Richard is really treating us today. I don't know if you spotted it. He switched immediately. Yeah, there it is. He has a shotgun on Thermite. No. We have Pulse Shotgun playing against Thermite Shotgun. This is going to be the 1v1 of the century. In a previous altercation, I think the Pulse was the one that came out on top. We'll see how it pans out this time around as Richard is choosing to fight fire with fire. Wall's open already. Not choosing to go for a rush, all right? He just opened up the wall. He's going to the roof. I think he wants to get a different wall open as well. It is Jim, so it wouldn't really work out to just press into CC this early on. He's just going to get another wall open. I don't know if he's going for the Jacuzzi one, most likely. But Jagsy below with a shotgun. Ooh. He does have a C4 in place. He pre-placed it. He misses the timing on the player going past. Doesn't spot that guy. But knows about a player that's playing on the window. And if that Vault comes through, then Jagsy should be able to clean up in a very easy kill. Here comes the Vault. Should know about it. No, player gets away. Sail is also downstairs. Does the Pulse know about this? Did he look down? There's a drone right next to it, so I think the drone must have heard the Pulse at some point. So they must know that he must be around secret somewhere. And so right now, Sail, this is a standoff. But Jagsy pushes into it and he doesn't win it. He's trying to push up, but Sail's the one that comes out on top. And he does take out the C4 afterward as well. And that's the opening pick in favor of Nerf Minor. Incredible.
That's one of the most bizarre situations I've seen. Jagsy makes the mistake of when he's on the pulse, the cardiac sensor. He's looking upstairs. He knows the player's coming through from that rafters area, but doesn't actually spot the player that's standing at the bottom of the garage. It takes a few scans before he eventually notices that, gets himself into a bit of a stalemate, and then just pushes out. It's so strange. I don't know if he realised it. I think he maybe thought the player was maybe in lounge or on the other side of the wall, but no idea how that played out. JSR was able to find another one, and it does look like Chillwagon are going to eventually be steamrolled out of this because there's still 5 members alive with quite a lot of HP, but TWR will have something to say about this inside their bedroom. Who has SMG 11, 4 versus 2 as Jedi's able to find Hatfell, and now it's looking like it could be coming back as Jedi finds another, this time onto Richard, and it's 3 versus 2. 3 versus 1 though, as JSR's able to find TWR, and now Jedi in the 1 versus 2 on the main stairs, gets himself the triple. He's looking to try and bring this back for Chillwagon, who are just chilling out, just waiting on the staircase. He's just going to wait there and play a little bit of time, listen for that sound cue of the diffuser. He knows that they have it. The quad for Jedi! He's looking for the ace now. He just needs one more. He's found JSR. It's Matto left alive inside of logistics, and they're going to go round a little bit, and he's going to give away his position on the main stairs because there is some barbed wire that they will be able to hear, but rotating all the way down to the bottom floor, 6 seconds on the clock, and he's going to go round and round and round. Instead, he's going to bait it. Going to go back to main stairs. The plant has to go down. It's 000, so he knows that he's planting. He knows he has to move, get all the way back to site, has to find it, but they have the info. They know exactly where he is, but does he know he's in the corner? Has the pistol in hand and still swinging through. Jedi's trying to find it, but Matto outplays him. Pistol versus pistol through the rotate, finds the kill, and you are not getting an ace today, Jedi.
What a close round. The fact that Jedi was able to reel that in, a 4K, nearly the ace. He almost finds what is essentially a 1v4. It started out so well for Nerf Minor, and the fact that it has to come down to the wire like that, with Matto finding it in a pistol versus pistol engagement. Well played from Matto, all things considered. It was a valiant effort from Jedi, not able to find it, and suddenly we find ourselves at 5-5. It was Chillwagon that were up 5-2. They had such a massive advantage. They won their very first attack, and I thought this was going to predict the pace of the game. I thought, all right, Chillwagon are going to have a dominant at least match point situation here, so that at least they're going to get a point. But instead, Nerfminer have been fighting back ever since that 1v1 that Richard took. Ever since he won that, Nerfminer have looked like a bit of a different team. Especially in the past 2 rounds, they've been playing a bit more like a team, still losing players individually. I think in the clutch situations, getting overconfident, just giving the single last remaining member on Chillwagon these picks, and that's a little concerning. But so far, they've been getting away unscathed.
Yep, 5-5. I would not have expected this after that performance in the first half, but we're seeing an attacker-sided clubhouse, which is surprising, at least in my books anyway, to see one that's so attacker-sided, because pretty much all the rounds have been won on the attacker. I think we've only seen 1 or 2 defender-sided, and defensive wins, and we're going to have to see if someone can, break the trend at least, because someone has to win on both sides to win this match out. And we're going to see an attack now coming in towards the bottom floor, I believe. I think it's a site, if I've caught that correctly. It's inside of Church and Arsenal, and that's likely where we're going to get this avenue of attack coming through in towards Kitchen to try and open things up. They don't really have soft destruction. They don't really have that much. There's no form of soft destruction with them. They don't have the Buck, the Sledge. They've instead brought a plethora of hard breach gadgets for some reason. They brought 4, and you're going to use the first one just to open up dirt to make sure that they can. But Jedi getting aggressive. Look at him, he's feeling himself. He's already been teased out of nearly getting an ace, and he does have the shotgun of all things in the Legion. Isn't able to come out on top this time. Though his Mattel is there to put him into the dirt, literally. And now we're in this 5 versus 4 scenario, and inside of Kitchen we have that fuse going off, all of those bombs coming down, the cluster grenades coming in between those Arsenal racks, and just being a bit of a plague for these players that are moving around in that area. Hatfield takes quite a bit of damage though. I think he's actually taking it maybe from his own shells there, but I'm not 100% sure, as Malsine's peeking up through the floorboard to try and find anyone. Matt although takes a little bit of damage from that, and things are looking a little bit dire inside the armor at the minute.
Alright, half the round is off the board. Still a lot of drones left for Nerfminer. They also still have the Flores on the board. I think that was his second to last Rotary. He still has 1 more in play. This one's jammed. Gonna get rid of that one. He still has 1 more to play with. And a lot of info still to gain for Nerfminer on this attack. They have still enough time to play around. And they do have the man advantage as Jedi. I think he's tasted blood from that 4K that he got in the previous round. He really wanted to win that round, and he was angry. But maybe a bit of an ill-advised play with the shotgun, trying to play aggressively over on Container. It doesn't work out for him. And instead, he concedes man advantage over to Nerfminer. And a lot of them have taken quite a bit of damage. And Malson is going to be able to finish off Matto, who is already low inside of dirt. So that's the Flores off the board. That's, I think, one aspect of the attack on. You don't really have to worry about dirt anymore, as the remaining players have shifted over to blue side. And you can see JSR trying to go down secret stairs, but he does walk into a Gumine. He does have to go back, and Halfpil gets injured as well. He has to go for the recover. That's going to cost crucial seconds. Only 30 seconds left on the board, and they have to try and find an execute here. There's better health on Chillwagon, and Chillwagon are in decent positions. Jagsy finds another pick here, trying to go for those openers, trying to get into the side, and it doesn't work out for them. Another kill in favor of Chillwagon. 1 back for Richard, but Dexter finds Richard on the trade, and Jagsy finds another, and there we go. Chillwagon. They get another one, and finally they get their match point. It took longer than I expected, but here we are.
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprising one there. That was very much a round where I felt like both teams forced it a little. It was the first time I felt like that the entire time. We had, of course, the Legion outside of Jedi just trying to force that pick. And this is where you'll start to drop rounds, when you start to force things a little bit. They forced it there, and then it flips over towards Nerfminer. It's in their hands. They have the man advantage, and they do exactly the same thing. They force things a little bit. You've seen them doubling up, going down blue. The feet holes are there. That is for me, alarm bells would be ringing. As soon as the fuse got down, I know the time was precious. I know they didn't have it, but you're just gonna die. You're just gonna fall to that. There's almost no point in going for it. They have a cross angle on it. You have one player holding from deep inside the church. You have the other player close inside of blue, and it was just a death sentence. So it was almost like, you know what, we should maybe just go for the rotate and see if we can make it in time, and see if we can get around to the other side, see if we can maybe open up a hatch or something just to get there. They still had 30 seconds, so they still had time to at least do something, except from push up a blue hallway into what was essentially certain death. And that's exactly how it played out. Chillwagon basically got a free win because of it, and it was just one of those ones where teams just, when they force things a little bit, it falls apart, and it's just unfortunate the way it's played out there. 5 to 6 now in terms of the round count, and Chillwagon will be fancying himself to take this within regulation. Still a chance though, but we're still on the cusp of potentially going to that overtime. And you know what sight we're going to see? For the first time on this map, we're going to see CCTV, which I'm quite surprised to see.
Is that the first time that it's been brought out already?
As far as I know, yes, that's 11 rounds. We've not seen a CCTV defense. So
all right, it used to be a staple, but especially with the Kite ban, it's not something that you want to go to as your first side because it's way too easy to clear off bandits from vertical. If you get that vertical control, you can very easily nade the bandit trying to trick. You can get rid of the bandits from below. You can get rid of them using a Twitch or even a Brava. All of those options are available to you. You can get them from the window over on CC side. So there's so many ways to deal with it. And the Kite is, I think, the one that makes the site very viable. But, was that must have been a C4, right?
it was a combination, yeah. It was a C4, but then the final kill just somehow went to Jackson there. I think he got it from Rafters. I think he sent the C4, then pre-fired it. The C4 almost kind of undone the Monty enough for the kill to go through with the SMG-11. Gets the kill on the Monty, which will be a massive pick because that's the focal point of the attack gone. They'll be trying to use that Monty to try and bash their way in towards Garage and Rafters and get that control, and they're going to have to change things. All 4 members have rotated round. They're going to try and go around towards Jim. Jedi, though, Dexter, of course, you know what else are they going to do? They're just going to get out and be aggressive inside of Jim. Drops back though, Jedi not wanting to take any gunfights as of yet. Instead, he's going to go in towards Bar. Dexter as well is going to make a way back towards the top of that red staircase. And now Jedi with the flank up the main staircase. And we'll try to catch any of these players out inside of Jim. No, but a double E4 onto Matto and GSR. TWR just sends it right out the window. Beautifully sent. And now Sale and Richard have all of the hopes and dreams of Nerf Minor in this round, and it looks as though Chillwagon are going to run away with it in the final round here as Sale in a 1 versus 5, trying to pressure this smoke behind the shield though, but the down does come on to one player. Sale's able to at least find one, knows someone's going to try and flank him with the shotgun in hand for Dexter, pushing through 1 versus 3, Sale's able to find another one. It's a triple kill for Sale. Can he bring it back? Dexter's got himself in construction and could sneak up behind him and does just that. Dexter not quite aware of the rotate that came out, and this will go towards Chillwagon.
Jaxie, you can't be doing that. There comes so the C4s in this round, very, very crucial. They find the Monty. You can see that the remaining players of Nerf Minor immediately having to go for a rotate. They can't get that Rafters control. They wanted to do it with the Monty. Now they can't do it. And instead they will have to back off. They'll have to rotate around and go for a master take. Doesn't work out for them. They could cut down with a double C4 from TWR. And Jaxie already hitting the GG, and then a triple kill coming through, almost keeping that round close. That nearly could have slipped away from them. That's why you never write GG until the match is actually over. You got to be careful with that. That can really come to haunt you.
It was a bit close for comfort. I think it was the fact they had the LMG, so it was just, 180, shoot, 180, shoot, and hopefully, eventually, just didn't quite hear the sound cue of the player rotating in towards construction, and that's where it went. But it was really well played, and I was gonna point out the picks in that final round because they brought along the Monty. They picked onto the Monty when they realised it was Rafters, and that's just great use of attacker repick. But it was almost like a reverse pick at the same time with the Oryx. I don't know if Nerf Minor play Monty a lot. They did play it quite a few times last week, so maybe that's just something they like to lean on with these shield operators. So I think that the Oryx pick was brought as a response to that. Didn't really be needed because of great C4. That if you can use utility to get rid of a shield operator, then happy days. You don't even need to worry about having a face up to them with Oryx. But it's just a nice little detail that they seem to know what they were going to go for. They seem to know exactly what the take was going to be from Nerf Minor. Chillwagon just put a stop to it immediately, won the round out, and they put it a little bit close for comfort, but they get the win in the end.
Yeah, I mean, close for comfort for Chillwagon, I think, is the story of this entire matchup today because they were up 5-2. They let a few rounds slip past them. Nerf Minor started getting a bit of momentum, and then they were finally able to shut it down with just one really confident defense. And then off of that, they're able to just decide to, for this last round of regulation, we'll go to CC, we'll throw a curveball. Yeah. And they were really ready for the Monty. They took him down very early on, and so Nerf Minor quickly had to adapt, and ultimately, I liked how quickly they were on adapting that, but still doesn't work out for them. Ultimately, that double C4, I think, was the nail in the coffin. I think Jaxie did seem to think so, at least. So close for comfort, but 7-5, still the full 3 points for Chillwagon, still what they wanted, still what they needed, and so they'll get 3 crucial points. I think they're a team that you look at to be in the top 2 seeds, I think, for this major group, and so this is one of the gimme games, and so could have been a little more comfortable, but
yeah, just a little
letting
bit.
something slip past. It's All right.
That being said, we never spoke about the standings just before. We'll briefly just touch on them before we go to a break, before we go to the next game. Now, in terms of the standings, before going into that game, we had IS on 9 points. We had FDM on 9 points as well. And we also had Katana, Chillwagon, and Goldinis on 6 points. That was the kind of the way it was playing out. Nerf Minor were on 3. Old Gold and Oblivion yet to pick up any points. Now, Nerf Minor were in a position there to at least start to mix things up around the top 4, but they weren't able to do that because Chillwagon take the win, take all the points, and they go into 9 points, and that leaves Nerf Minor all the way down in 6 on 3 points. And it's now we're starting to see the gaps appear as we kind of get into the weeks past. Now, that's week 4 technically that's just gone past for Nerf Minor and Chillwagon there, and now things moving towards where we start to see the top 4 forming and start to see who's going to be going through to the next stages and whatnot. And IS, FDM, and Chillwagon are the top 3 at the minute, all on 9 points after that game. And we'll see what we have next in the next couple of games now. But yeah, we're going to go to a short break before we get cracking with the next game. That'll be, I believe it's scheduled to basically start in the next 5-10 minutes, but we're not 100% sure. Just need to get obviously everybody in and get them started and make sure that we can get ready with this next game. And I'll just very quickly pull up my fixtures just to make sure that I don't quote the wrong teams. Just to make sure. Yeah, so IS versus Katana is what we're going to be seeing next. They're ready. They're not ready to go yet. Break, obviously 5-10 minutes. That's just when the teams are ready to go. It's usually scheduled for. It's pretty close because we've got pretty much a full game there. It's not quite games. We've got the full game nearly. We didn't quite get to overtime, but we've got a pretty decent one. So, but yeah, 5-10 minute break. Go and get tea, coffee, whatever you need to do, and we'll see you back here in 10 minutes.